I know you're tired because you clicked on this video, and I promise I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at myself because it could all be so simple, but we rather make it hard. Oh my gosh, she ate that up. She ate that up. I have a stream of consciousness. I'm in the mood to yap. Let's look at my notebook and see what we should talk about. Not intimate relationships. Ugh. This is a good topic. I found a good topic. Hi, my name is Jaazy. Welcome to another episode of the I Am podcast, where you and I chat as we learn more about who we are by drawing closer to the great I am. Now, today's episode is about something that I struggle with. As a self-proclaimed, self-admitted night owl, I am always tired. Like, I literally joke, I think if I could get 8 hours of sleep a night, I would turn into a superhero. Because the fact that I do life and the things that I do off of the amount of sleep that I get is insane. And I know I'm not the only one. I know there are so many of us that go through every day tired. There's a reason that energy drinks are a thing, even though they are so freaking bad for you. And I want to preface this video first by saying that, like, when it comes to tiredness and sleep and things like that, please take into consideration your situation. There are so many different seasons of life, situations people are in. Not to say that it's an excuse, because I think that for a lot of people, there's still ways that you can be rested, but depending on your situation, it will take a level of discipline that, like, other people just might not have to think as hard about. If you're a student, you can get away with not getting as much sleep. If you're a parent and you work 8 to 10 hours a day and you have kids at school who have extracurriculars and you're running a business and all of these things, your sleep planning has to be like on 10 for you to actually get rest. I've never been in that scenario, so I cannot like speak to it, but I can do the best that I can just to encourage you to give yourself grace depending on your scenario and your situation, and also to understand that, like, the application of this video is going to feel different for different people, but the principle hopefully will still resonate with you. Yeah, I just had to give that disclaimer. When it comes to rest, I think we underestimate how much it's something that God actually cares about. Like, the fact that the one day God chose to make holy in the week, like the Sabbath day, it could have been the day to go out and serve people. It could have been the day to pray all day. It could have been the day to just be in church from sun up to sundown, or to read the Bible from sun up to sundown. And while it is a day, yes, to like spend time with God, it says that keeping it holy means resting. Like, literally, the holiness of the day is in resting. And this journal entry that I made was in a time where I was just feeling so exhausted, like literally just so out of it. And I wasn't even reading the Bible verse because this is something that I'm needing to be more consistent in myself. I was at church and they were talking about it, and I was like, oh, God prioritizes my rest more than I do. Me being this tired is not how it was made to be. Everyone's walk with God is so personal and can look so different. There are a lot of things, but there are like a few moments that are so clear as this. And the fact that holiness and rest are equated with one another, it shows how important it truly is just to our well-being and just to us being able to operate as they're gonna be. And I think it makes it so clear as to why there are so many things that are constantly coming against us being able to rest. I mean, we know, like, we all have to work, we all have responsibilities, we know this, but there are so many distractions that come in the way of us being able to actually slow down enough to relax. We live in a society where we're always stimulated, and I think we underestimate how much that impacts our ability to rest. If you're always in a state where you're like, go, 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 if you're always in a state where you're feeling like you're in survival mode, if you're in a state where your days are so draining that by the time it's time to go to bed, you want to escape and stay up and watch a show, or stay up on the phone, or stay up doing whatever, you're not going to be able to rest. And even when you close your eyes, are you going to be able to like sleep peacefully? Like, this is like a real question that I think a lot of times we have to ask ourselves. And I think there are genuine, health conditions and things like that that can cause people to have trouble sleeping. Like, we know that is a thing. But I also think that there are a lot of factors that contribute to that are outside of like a person's genetic makeup, if that makes sense. Sometimes our struggle to rest is a symptom of something that is much deeper and is a symptom of habits that have been built up by ourselves and also by the society that we live in. And look, I am still recovering from being a night owl. I am still in the process of getting my sleep schedule together. And so the call is coming from inside the house. But as I am in the process, I'm learning that instead of trying to force myself to be up and to be on 10 and to be doing all of this stuff when I know I struggle with sleep, I'm allowing myself to rest when I can and prioritizing it. And at the end of the day, when you start to realize the importance of rest, also in God's eyes, pray that. This is what I had written down here. God, thank you for leading me and shifting things to their rightful place. Point number 1, when you are in a space where you need to start prioritizing rest, things might need to fall off the table. I remember growing up being like, Mom, like, why can't we do this anymore? Mom, why can't we do that anymore? I don't care how upset your kids are. If you need to put one thing off of your plate so you can rest and be rested, do it. I don't have children or anything, but I'm saying sometimes things need to be reprioritized so you can rest and be okay. If that show is so addicting that it's keeping you up for an extra 3 hours, cancel your subscription. Sorry, cancel it. Some things will need to be reprioritized when you choose to prioritize rest. And after you get a better schedule together, after you learn what your body really needs, how much sleep you need to really operate off well, then you can start adding things back in. But there are some just even hobbies, some ideas, some goals that you might have to put on the back burner a little bit to prioritize your rest. Number 2, check your inputs and check the frequency of your inputs. Sometimes we cannot rest because we have not trained our brains to just like exist. If the only time that you're not getting like inputs and stuff is if the only time that you're not like listening to music, watching something, talking to people, like having things coming at you is when you're knocked out asleep, that is not good. Even if it's just 5 minutes, let yourself sit and not have any like stimulation, anything going on. Just like sit with the things in your head. And that is a scary thing to do and can be hard to do, especially depending on just what you're going through at that time. But it is necessary. You have to start training yourself to rest, because that's what rest is. Rest is not always like, oh, woosah, like I'm at peace. No, rest is just being without moving. Like how like you can let dough rest, or you'll let a cake rest after you bake it. It's like, okay, it's been in heat and you need to let it sit and rest so it can firm up. So sit and rest so that way it can finish the process and come together. And basically there's a level of doing that is helpful to do during the day before you actually go to sleep. And so for me, that can look like listening to jazz music. I know I said no stimulation, but sometimes that does help me just to calm down listening to jazz music. That my showers that I take are super helpful for me just to be able to let the day kind of wash off. Of course, like devotional time, that's something that I'm getting better at doing. For me, devotions at night doesn't really work. I end up that will put me to sleep, ironically. And that's a whole nother video. Nighttime routines though are really, really helpful, like a relaxation routine. If you're doing your shower, maybe you have like one of those tree hut body scrubs, you're doing your face rubs, stretching, all of that is a really great way to allow yourself to kind of rest and decompress before you actually try to go to sleep. And I think with those inputs, there's also the level of rest that you want to allow yourself to have throughout the day. I think in life, a rule of thumb that I try really hard to maintain, I put a lot of intentionality into maintaining. Some people think I just don't care. Some people think my head is in the clouds. I don't really care. If you're not like my family, if you're not conditional to my work environment, that is how I provide for myself, or like one of my close friends that have become family. If you're not going to be like at my wedding dinner party, like it's not gonna stress me out. Like I'm not going to let it stress me to that level. And I think that can apply to different things in your life. There are so many little things that happen throughout our days that are very frustrating, and that can be very like all consuming. That can really throw you off, especially when you're not rested. And setting a rule of thumb for yourself, not to ignore issues, not to just let people walk over you, because that's not good either, but to put things in a place that's appropriate. That in itself will just allow you to exist at a more stable frequency that makes it easier to rest when needed. When your peace is found within, when you're aligned and trusting that God works all the things together, when you understand that God's given you people that you are responsible for and people that you're connected to, and that people who are outside of that, you're called to love and to respect, but you're not connected to in that same way, and they don't need to impact you in a way that those more closer people would. My camera overheated, my sign to stop yapping. But essentially what I was saying is that a lot of times people will go throughout their day, one thing happens and it throws off the vibe for the whole day. That one person cuts them off in traffic, they're talking about it to everybody, it's running through your head, and it can ruin and disturb that state of rest. I just think that life as it is already stressful. Taking care of yourself, feeding yourself, keeping yourself healthy, caught up with all your medical appointments, caring for any family that you have, your friends, keeping just everything together, keeping God first. Like the list goes on and on and on and on. There are so many moments throughout the day that are quite irrelevant to our welfare, quite irrelevant to our well-being. And the last thing that you want is for your reaction to those to be at a level to where they disturb your state of rest and peace that you're able to exist in on a day-to-day basis. Mastering that like self-regulation, self-peace, being able to just stay calm and be like, wait, this doesn't really matter. There are even times when I'm driving, if I'm driving and I notice and I feel myself starting to rush, like, oh my gosh, like I need to get around this person. I need to like, I'll make myself slow down and go back over to the other lane, because what are you talking about? You need to get around the next person. This is going to make a 3-minute difference to your destination time. And you're putting yourself and other people in danger over something that does not matter. If the road is open and clear and you have space to go do your thing, cool. Just make sure you're not about to get pulled over. Hopefully my insurance isn't watching this video. But it's similar to those moments where it's like, if someone cuts you off, is that annoying? Yes. Do I wish that people would not drive in the fast lane if they're driving under the speed limit? Yes. Does it actually impact my life? No. And so it's those things where just being able to let things roll off your shoulder, that in itself will over time allow you to live in a state of rest, which will make it easier to rest when the time actually comes to lay your head down to sleep. Also check yourself when it comes to escapism and doing things that are taking up time that you should be spending resting, or you should be spending towards something else that will allow you to have more time to rest later, because we need breaks. We need time to do things that we enjoy. But especially as life goes on, as life gets busier, it's really important to be able to be intentional with your time and like why you're doing things. Like if I'm watching a show or like an anime or whatever, I'll try to do it like while I'm folding clothes or while I'm like doing another activity that is productive and that's like helping me, rather than there are some days where it's like I'm just so exhausted from the day, I just want to sit and like binge watch a show. And everyone's going to do that every once in a while. There's nothing wrong with that in like moderation, but I'm just saying to understand your motive. And sometimes there are times where like you just want to stay up late and do something because you just feel so unfulfilled with your day and you just want to have something that's yours. Like you just want to have some time where like you're able to pick what you do for 2 hours. It just sucks that that 2 hours is like the 2 hours you should be sleeping. And so finding ways to really ask yourself why you're doing things and understand, like, is that sacrifice actually worth it? Is it worth staying up another 2 hours watching a show when you could be getting more sleep and you already know you're behind on it? The answer is no, and it can be difficult, but it does take a level of understanding that rest, again, back to what I was saying at the beginning, that rest is more important than you think. Getting more rest might bring a similar amount of satisfaction, a similar amount of positivity, internal peace to your day, more alignment with how God wants you to live, than staying up late doing whatever it is. And you can be surprised how much more joy you open the door for in your day-to-day life, even if your routine and tasks don't actually change. You might just have more energy to enjoy your day. And like sometimes it's as simple as that. You might just have more energy to enjoy your day. Overall, when it comes to rest, it's really about finding what works for you in this season of life that you're in. I'm still a night owl. I'm still working on it. And so it truly is a continual journey. But I do think that, one, understanding how important it is, understanding that God literally like put aside a whole day to rest, proves how important it is just to be able to have that like peace, limiting the amount of volatility that you have throughout your day, limiting the access that external whatever has to messing with your energy and your mood will insanely impact that amount of rest that you're just able to feel. I'm very, very picky with who and what I let impact my space. And when I realize that something or someone is impacting my space, I try to be intentional with like acknowledging that and deciding how I want to handle that, move forward. But a lot of us go throughout life just giving anything and everything that decides to come into our way access to mess with how we feel. I also want to reiterate, that doesn't mean that you're ignoring people when you're deciding not to let them impact your energy. It means that you're actually just dealing with situations and from a regulated and objective standpoint, when it's like, well, this is not truly impacting my life, but I'm able to still deal with this in a mature way without it messing with the internal rest that I have. That's what I mean by that. Please don't go around ignoring people and don't do that. But yeah, find ways to prioritize rest, whether it's rest when you're awake, rest when you're asleep, all the things in between, and have grace with yourself because life is crazy, life is hectic, and we're all really just doing the best that we can. But I hope that you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. This will also be available on Spotify, Apple Music, and all podcast streaming platforms, so make sure to check it out on there. And I will see you in next week's video. Bye.